Is LA.
Just, you haven't been watching this, have you?
Mr. Dukey Flyswatter and the
Haunted Garage! Haunted Garage is a full-on assault.
If you took 80s slasher movies and put it in a blender with metal and punk rock, you're gonna get Haunted Garage.
There's this real fervor at the time about shock rock, how bad it was for the kids.
Oh, there you are.
Setting my ass on fire.
Yes.
It was just a total crazy shit show with like the props and the nudity, and the audience loved getting gore on them. Haunted Garage not only chainsaw them, but would pull the guts out and spread them all over the place.
The gag is, you're in the splash zone.
We were a messy band.
That was the raw stuff.
It was like,
this sounds like the best thing ever.
We've evoked strong feelings in people.
We even had our own barf bags made up.
I've held on to it all these years.
It exploded. There were lines around the block to see Haunted Garage.
Just thinking about it, I get a chill.
You gotta see this band.
It's like going to a horror movie, except it's actually happening.
They were horror punk.
All you feel is roadside twisted.
They live the movie lifestyle.
He's an icon of the underground exploitational genre.
His catalog of horror films is incredible.
Doesn't just write B movies. He wrote Cold Steel. Was it Sharon Stone? Who knew?
He was LA's Peter Lorre.
Legendary punk rock god of Hollywood.
Dukey's on MTV. Holy shit.
I think that the whole world should know about him.
I think of him as a guy with commitment to his art.
I think Dukey always kind of had a big-time vision with a kind of small-time execution.
Historically, I see them following in this tradition of the most over-the-top bands. They're LA's version, and they are punk rock's version.
He puts everything he's got into it. He made his whole life his art. That's Dukey. I mean, he wants to take it as far as he can take it.
And they're doing it with a big dose of humor and a lot of slime.
Slime, 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 slime!
Wait a minute, you're gonna get this.
Oh, thank
you. Before we continue, I'd like to give a shout out, to raise my glass, to give a standing ovation to all the pets out there, to all the cats and dogs out there, to the tabbies, to the golden retrievers. Y'all are some good boys. To those weird dogs with bad attitudes that like to bark at me whenever I walk past them. I see you big time. To all the cats on the street that let me come up to them and scratch their heads. You are very good. You're wonderful, actually. To all the kitties out there, the orange cats running all around, I owe you a car.
Hello, spoon. I have a spoon. Does anyone remember The Tick? I feel like The Tick spoon. Anyways, I'm sure this will come back later. Hello, it's me, Kevin Vonesper, and you are watching the VonPod show, the show where I talk to cult artists and musicians and other people I find interesting. Today is no different. Someone I've wanted on the show since its inception. I didn't know when the right time was. Tonight is the right time. It's Emilie Autumn. I met Emilie in 2009 when I was producing my first web TV show, Twilight Vision, and then again in 2013 working for Vampire Freaks when she was touring with the Birthday Massacre. I'm excited to see what she is up to, and I'm excited for you guys to know what she's up to as well. If this is your first time watching, hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Vonesper. I'm a musician, photographer, and documentary filmmaker from the New York City area. You may know me, or you will know me, from my newest musical project, Pop Perversion, for which I am currently working on some special remixes and covers while we're cooking up the album. I am the resident photographer for the Red Party every second Saturday at the Mercury Lounge. Coming up April 11th is their 19th anniversary party featuring a performance by Death Rockers Nox Nova Cult. I can never say their name right. Nox Novacula, like Dracula. Nox Novacula. And fun fact, I was at the first Red Party ever. So, yeah. Go check out my past episode of the show with its founder, DJ Templar, if you want to hear about the time Trent Reznor hit on him. You just saw the trailer for my documentary, The Life and Slimes of Dukey, Flyswatter, and Haunted Garage. I'm working on it. It's coming along very nicely. Follow at Dukey Doc for all the updates. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment below here on YouTube. Help me fight the algorithm. And if you're here watching live, join in on the conversation. And I can see my chat is blowing up already. So, I don't think I'm going to get to all of your comments, but you will be there. And if I see anything interesting, plus I got a lot of things I want to talk about. So if you really like what I do, send me a tip from the links below and send me a super chat would be the best way to make your questions stand out. But this is a free show. I expect nothing. I accept everything. Now let's roll the theme song and I'll see you on the other side with Emilie Autumn. Let's go. VonPod. Welcome to VonPod. I've got chicken heads and deli creeps, scary monsters and super creeps on VonPod. You're listening to VonPod. With aliens and scum dogs, I hope you're here to chat along to VonPod. You can watch and chat with us live. VonPod. Like and share and subscribe to VonPod. It's always a surprise. You're watching VonPod. Hello.
That was amazing.
Which part?
All of it. You're the most adorable creature on the face of the planet, but just that. And also spoon.
Let's clink our spoons. Clink. All right.
Who's
you
got
ever
a
done
spoon?
that at a show? I had to bring out my big spoon for the show.
Usually the spoon gets used for slapping inappropriate things. And
That's for the
you just get
after
a little
show.
carried away. Yes. Oh, do we have an after show?
No, but we could.
Well, I do know that I've been alerted to our private secret chat. So
yes,
I think
right.
well,
If you need any spoon action, you let me know.
just be like, I'm ready and I need it now. Thank you.
Well, maybe I might be the one who needs it. You don't know.
This is getting so weird so fast.
I
and
know,
I'm
isn't it
so
lovely?
excited. I am.
All right,
it is
we're
so
gonna let's reel it back a little bit. We're getting too hot, too heavy, too
my
quickly.
heart is actually beating out of my chest, which is a worn metaphor, but it is like I'm strangely excited. Adrenaline is flowing. We're going to need to do something with this.
Excellent.
Working
Well,
with
I hope that's a good thing. I hope you can
It's a
channel that
wonderful
energy
thing. It
into
means something's
positivity.
important. Yes, it means it matters.
Yes. And I know you have, I don't think you've done an interview for a while, so I feel very honored that you're here with me.
You were an immediate yes. The work that you've done for not just me, but so many underground subculture cult people
Thank you.
is, I hope people realize that you and people that do what you do and really hunt out things like this and really dig into what's truly going on out there that might not be on the side of an Amazon box.
Right.
You are the ones who really spread the story of the music. It's your footage. I never had the money to pay for footage of a show. That's not something that's ever happened. It would be nice, but that wasn't the priority. Every dollar I ever made was put back into the show. And then here comes you, who is there and gets this beautiful footage and beautiful interviews. And it's because of people like you who actually spread the plague in a way that on my own I never could. So just know that you
Fan
are
myself with the spoon.
Just
Oh my God. Keep going. Keep going. No, just.
I could. You
I
you
was,
know I can talk.
I was so happy that you remembered me and what we
course.
did, what, 16, 17 years ago? Oh my God.
I know. There's a lot of things that go, but those magical moments, I mean, touring and the people I got to meet, the audiences I got to sing with, people I met, plague rats I met, probably some of you watching this tonight, in meet and greets outside the theaters. Those are my best memories, and that will always have the most special place in my life. So I don't forget things like that, and I don't forget people like you.
Well, thank you so much. That was going to be one of my questions somewhere in my notes. What's the archive like? I know I was wondering, like, what kind of stuff do you have from back then, or videos, soundboard recordings? Is there like an archive, or is it all just kind of like what the fans have collected?
It's what the fans. Saying fans sounds strange, but
or,
what,
you know,
what
media.
the audience, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. What
The
Plague
people
Rats
out there.
the people. What anyone there has got, that is all we have. There have been some sort of higher end concerts where they had a video crew and put something out, but truly, I think that everything that it's just a suspicion on my part, everything I've done has been perhaps even more indie and homegrown than you even realized. And there was no filming of anything or soundboard recordings or anything. It was like, can we make this tour happen? Can we afford to pay people? Can we sell enough t-shirts so that we can keep going? And
oh, that's what I forgot. I have an old Emilie Autumn t-shirt in my closet over there.
Oh, fabulous. Well,
Yeah.
we will
It
have an
doesn't,
next.
I don't think it fits me anymore, but I cherish the
Too big or too small?
Too small. I think I bought mediums back then, and I should have bought large, because then you can just cut them up and wear fishnets underneath them or whatever.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Absolutely cut them up and wear fishnets. I think that's our after party.
Yes, fishnets for the fishnets and spoons to get into the after party.
I have some scissors and a pair of striped stockings that I've been cutting up and tearing, and as you know, used for samples.
That.
So
yeah, that's very clever of you, and I love that. I mean, we'll talk about all that stuff at some point, but I guess let me start with this photo, because I dug up this photo of us from when we first met.
Oh my gosh!
And I am so sorry for my. I did not have any fashion sense back then as much as I do now.
You don't need it. You just need to be you. Fashion is on the inside.
I know, but I like to blend in with the crowd, and I definitely don't with my hoodie on over there.
But it's black.
It is black.
It's a black hoodie. So I
at
think
least I was in the red and black color scheme. So
yes, you were. No, that is so cute. Oh my gosh! Do you know I have that little hat in the next room? Oh yes, wow. I still have all the costumes. They're actually in a closet in the other room where all the touring gear is. We still have all of that.
Amazing.
It takes up a lot of space in New York.
And then I got another picture later, but I guess where should we start besides the spoons? I guess this is crazy. I didn't schedule this show for this, but I've noticed that it's been 20 years since Opheliac came out. Is that correct? 2006?
Do you know, I only
20 years
because I've heard someone else in the circle say that, and I thought this is not possible. And they actually said, "Oh, Opheliac came out 20 years ago. I feel so old." To which, and it's a very kind place. We're talking about the Asylum Inner Circle community. But I had to say, so if you're old, what does that make me? And rightfully, he said immortal. So
well, that's
all
one
right,
of my big concepts.
I can deal with that.
I always like to say time is an illusion. And how does that relate to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of time travel in your work as well. So
yes. Thanks for noticing.
Well, I did something recently that I've always meant to do, and I'll get back to this in more detail later. But I finally, I got my show and tell. I got my stuff. I got your giant book.
Oh my
here,
goodness, you're crazy.
And I finally read it, but I not only read it, I did it along with with the audiobook,
which is completely different.
I have questions about that too, but
absolutely.
But let's get to the time travel and time is an illusion thing first. How does that relate to you?
Oh, well, I had a thought literally yesterday where I thought we're all the same age. So the answer to how old are you is the same age that you are, because if we are all made of energy, if we are all made of the source, whatever you'd like to call it, if we are all these temporary manifestations of this source, then we're the same thing. And you and I and everyone watching has been around for precisely the same amount of time. So essentially we're all ageless and all the same age. So that was my thought in the shower yesterday.
Ooh, shower thoughts. That's for the after party.
Oh, right. Shower thoughts. Asylum shower thoughts. I think that could be a new event.
That could be part of your circle thing.
Promise. Yeah. I think so.
Ooh, I like that we're cooking up some ideas here. But yes, I can't believe it either. It's been 20. I mean, I discovered you, I guess, a couple years after that. But when I guess it was the American release, the deluxe or whatever kind of.
That's
the
right.
Deluxe
That's
edition.
when it's separate label. Yes.
Right.
Yep. I love
this was
that.
When there was the end. I don't know if they exist anymore.
I don't know either. I had to. I so don't. How do I say this? There are so many things that I don't really care about, like fitting into the industry in any sort of a way, that I'll just say I had to spend a hell of a lot of money to get Flag, Fight Like a Girl, from that label because I felt that was not a good fit to work together for the future. So they kindly put out Opheliac, but that was just me. And that was basically anything that I had ever made was spent getting that album back so that I could just simply put it out myself. And those are the things you do when you just want to control your own work, as small as it might be.
So do you own this album now, or?
I do.
Amazing.
In fact, yes, no one ever owned masters. That's not something I would ever do, but simply the royalties from that, basically all of that is mine. There's nobody standing in the way of actually funding this gigantic monitor.
Yeah, that's so liberating. I feel like, like so many people are like just shackled to that record label or whatever. They're shackled to the shower. I don't know.
We're all shackled to something. This could be a whole other direction.
I know.
But we are all shackled.
I'm just teasing. We're just teasing it.
Yes. Unfortunately, it can be very expensive to unshackle yourself. I think that probably is the case for a lot of people in their lives, and whatever this might mean to you. And sometimes you can't, and sometimes you just make it happen and sell your costumes and you get your record back. And I'm very glad that I did.
That's excellent to know. And I guess going back to like the 20 years thing, like, do you have any reflections on that, or are you just kind of like looking towards the future? Is there going to be a 20th anniversary or anything like that you've planned?
I think I've never thought of that. So thank you for the idea. I think it hadn't even occurred to me simply because I am so ridiculously busy that really, I mean, that seems like a very appropriate thing to do. And I'm going to need you're in the circle. So please DM me and we'll talk about what we can do just for the fun of it, because it does seem like maybe a little listening party or something might be nice. But to answer your question, I am very focused on the future because it is so exciting. So I love everything about the past. I love everything about my past. I have no regrets about anything that happened along the way. I'm so grateful for every single thing I got to do, everyone I got to sing with, every show I got to play. Every bit of it is so incredibly lucky. So I'm so grateful to have had that, and I'm so excited for what is to come in the future.
Well, we're definitely going to hit on the future at some point in here, or unless you want to do it now. Like, what is the future?
Oh, you are in charge of this, and who even knows what the future is?
Well, I'm going with the flow, as we said.
So yeah, but you also get to guide the flow. I'm
Yes.
very used to guiding the flow, and it's a beautiful position to be in, to just sit back and say,
Relinquish.
tell me what to do. Yes.
Ooh. Emilie, behave. Well, let's get back to the future. I want to still let's lead up to let's tease the future for now.
Sure.
I do have one question / idea about Opheliac. I know a lot of people did like remixes of back then of some of the songs. Do you still have those stems laying around or anything like that?
So
maybe
that is an
the
excellent
fans could
question.
do like their own version of the album or something.
Oh, that's such a sweet thought. I have.
I'm
in
asking
the-
mostly for myself, but you
Well,
know.
we should talk about you because you're a musician. So I have questions, but I do in the studio closet this way. There's a lot going on. There's a whole vocal setup here, which we'll have a camera for next weekend in the community. But now all of the hard drives for the Opheliac album are in a closet right here. And of course, because they were made so long ago on a completely different system, I have no way to open them at present.
Yeah.
But to my knowledge, fingers crossed, they are functional. So when the moment is right, I will take them somewhere and say, can you make this a version that we can pull up? Because I would very much like to have those stems myself. For a lot of music, I don't, because like Unlaced, for example, that album, I have nothing, or 4 o'clock. All of those were created in either a bedroom somewhere, in transit to somewhere else, or a hotel or something where I didn't have a proper system. It was just like, make that track, go do a show, travel somewhere. And so unfortunately, for things that are being used in the musical, like 4 o'clock, I don't even have the tracks to add in. I have to build them from scratch, which is something we're going to be doing in the next couple of months, is rebuilding 4 o'clock from scratch, because that's a musical song and we're going to need to be able to take it apart.
Well, we're going to come back to 4 o'clock a couple times, because that EP actually stems a couple conversations that I want to have. But I think in this flow, I like, one of my other big things is to talk about is DIY. So I know we kind of touched on it already, but like you said, your stuff in your show, your music is more DIY than most people even realize. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, there's so many.
And is it important to you to be DIY?
To a degree. So, for example, if I had more money to throw at a show, say at the time, I would have done, I don't know what I would have done differently, to be honest, because it wasn't the style of thing that was like, let's do a massive stadium tour with like that. It is not important to be DIY for something like an Asylum musical or a movie or things like that. So it really depends on what the thing is, what can be done, and what can be accomplished with as little as possible, especially when you're working with very little financial resources, and you just look, or I just looked around at what I could make with my hands, which really is what I've always done, like costumes. I wanted to sew everything. I wanted to create everything, even the set. Like when I first built, I say we, I mean, I have a hard time saying I will get there, but we, which sounds worse because now it sounds like the royal we, which just sounds pompous and rude, or like I'm plural, which is silly. So
are you plural?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I mean, there is the Emilie with a Y side that an argument could be made, but I think in the end, the point of that story is what happens when she sees, I almost gave an Easter egg away. What happens when she sees the striped wall through the paper at the end?
Well, it's been I mean, spoiler alert for the book. It's been out for what?
Oh, no.
17 years. Oh, there's
it's
something
not
else.
That. No,
Oh.
It's that the end of the musical is actually, it tells you what happens next, and the book doesn't. So, but the point being, I think we can all agree that there is a merging of the worlds at that point. But in the next stage of this, because as you've seen from the multiple versions of the book, is every time I have an opportunity. And again, this is the benefit of owning everything, and self-publishing is, well, I can change it at any time because it's a reflection of my psychology, of different ways of looking at life, of different ways that the characters simply come into my head and say, I want to say this, tell them. So they will, the next iteration will tell you what happens at the end, and it's far sadder and more beautiful than anything that is there now.
Well, we can flow into the book, I guess, a little bit. As you were saying, there has been like changes over the years, and I got the little one too. Even though the little one's still not that little, but compared to this one,
compared to that,
this is just ridiculously epic
and ridiculously expensive. Yes.
Yeah, I bet. I'm so glad that I got it at the time I did, and it's just so beautiful. I'm sure all the fans have seen. I don't know. I'm just opening random pages. There's the your
and
that.
That was so much fun. That's a recipe booklet, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, what fun.
What? I guess you said a little bit about this already, but what prompted you, or what kind of things had you changed along the way, between this and the audio book? And do you feel like you're like kind of tightening it up as it goes along, or?
I think sometimes, and I feel like the complete honest answer to that is that when I read it, I think of other things, and I feel like this is a more emotionally honest thing that happens even in this fantasy world in this moment. And then it's just my own entertainment that I think, oh, I want to see him do that. I want to see Stockhill die in this way. And that's really just the fun of it.
It is pretty bloody at the end, though.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
There's one thing that that I did not mean to reveal this, but now we've started. So there was only one moment where I had to make some changes to the story that were not of my own will, and one of them, this is a big reveal. One of them is in the audiobook, and a situation, again, this kind of ties into DIY, which I just simply love having the control over all of the art. It's just, I've said before, I'm not a collaborative artist when it comes to my own material. I don't work well with others. And there was a moment a handful of years ago, after the hardcover book had already sold out and been established, but right before the paperback and the audiobook came out, and I was signed to a literary agency here in New York. And it was actually my dream agent. So I felt very, very honored and lucky at this moment to think, oh, the Asylum, I mean, at its core, it's a book about mental health. I am not at all opposed to that getting spread as widely as it possibly can. It's helped people. It's helped me. It continues to. And it's a beautiful world that we all still, after 17 years, love to live in. Spoons. So that sounded like a perfect moment to go mainstream, in a sense, if not with my music, which could never be mainstream for multiple reasons, but this book could. However, after the whole process of working with this agent for months, she came to me with a plan. And the plan was, based on my decades of experience in the literary industry, all of my experience with the top publishers, which is where this book was going to go and be re-released to the masses, I feel that this needs to be a YA novel. And
yeah, I kind of noticed that switch.
Yeah, right. And that in the audio version. And that felt, of course, just like the biggest gut punch imaginable. This is not a YA novel. This is not for children. And what I love is that children and YA age people absolutely read it. And they enjoy it because they know that they're not reading a book that is condescending and catering to their age group. At that age, I was reading Shakespeare, I believe, and understanding it and loving it. And I believe that many, many people are doing that. And to take a story and neuter it, essentially, which is what I was being very strongly asked to do at the time, is just, there's just nothing in that for me. And I don't believe that it would serve anyone else. So the only thing that remained of that, there was a stripping away of some parts that were more controversial, a lack of inclusion of the things that were about self-harm, about
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
drugs use, all of that. And the other thing was, they said, you need to make everyone 10 years younger than they
Oh, I
actually
didn't
did.
notice that.
Yep.
Huh.
So I was 27 when I went in to that mental hospital and into that psych ward. And in the audiobook, when it reads off my name and patient number, it says 17. And to me,
That's not your number.
yeah, that is not it. So they took it from 27 to 17. And I left, I cut that contract and just parted ways with that literary agent, just explaining that this was not the path for this story. This was all about telling the truth of an experience, the truth of the effects of this experience, and
Warts and all.
yes, and it's supposed to be scary, and it's supposed to be inappropriate, and it's supposed to say things that make you think, I don't know if we're allowed to publish that. That's the point. It's supposed to talk about cutting in the most graphic, real-time, visceral manner that I have ever seen. It's supposed to talk about suicide in the exact same way. It's supposed to say, this is a person going through a dangerous manic episode right now, and this is her diary that she's writing to just remember what her name is. So I would rather, same with all of the music and virtually everything that I do, I would rather have it not exist than have it exist in the wrong way. So the only real semblance of that is in the audiobook that came out right at the moment where that age change was still in. Does it change the story? It actually doesn't, but it just represents a compromise that I was asked to make and that I really struggled to agree with. I desperately struggled. You can imagine when you're faced with an opportunity like that, that's life-changing. And the idea that, but don't you want this story to get out and maybe help other people? How selfish that you're holding it back because you think that it's got to be your original version. And I think that's just something that you go inward and sit with yourself and think, is this the right thing? And it was not the right thing. So there are those little hints every way, but all of the other, to go back to your original question of why things change over time, is oftentimes it's also going in the direction of when I decided that this had to and always was meant to be a full-blown musical, I knew that the whole book could not fit onto a stage.
That's also true.
Way. I mean, it would be a 48-hour musical minimized. So there were certain plot points, certain things that needed to be made into something more possible. But also in the process, I found, oh, that's actually such a cooler scene if he dies like this, just for an example. And that's something we're going to get to see live. So there is a sense in which, while it isn't known now, the trajectory of this story from its first version to all of the ones that have come since is actually going towards the musical version where, while the book won't be condensed, it will have more similarities to what you're going to see on stage. And to me, that is the most exciting thing. That's the version that I'm desperate for people to see and know what happens.
Well, let's talk about the musical. What's going on with the musical? I know this has been in the planning for forever. I mean, the first time I met you, you were like talking about it, I think.
We're doing this. I know.
At least
I remember,
there's like, the additional music that you've put out over the years to bridge it together. And then I have some additional questions, but go ahead.
Oh, lovely. The musical is actually, it is very much going. There are many, many things that I cannot say about it, which is going to be a theme over a couple of projects we might touch on.
Right.
But there was actually a project that I created during the last handful of years that is so important to me that I put it before the musical. And I know that sounds madness, but when it's a film and when it comes out, you will know why it was necessary to happen now, rather than, I mean, the musical, it's safe to assume that when that hits, that is what I will be doing for a very long time. And anything else that really needs to be said before. So that's something. And the time that I had to work on other projects, as we're here in New York, we're planning workshops, we're planning openings, we're planning things. COVID hits, the entire industry completely changes. It has not come back at all to what it was. And when the musical happens, it will almost definitely go to London. And so that's just a little taste of one of the many things that is actually going on behind the scenes. But it's all something that will be very much for the better when it actually happens. And it just gives time to make even more music for something that already is 4 hours long. So that will be an illusion. Time is an illusion. I would like to tell that to everyone who will be working in that theater every night saying, we want overtime. And I can just say, time is an illusion.
Yeah, right.
The producers just shut the whole thing down. So that's a musical costs tens of millions of dollars. And so that is something that has to be done right. And
I can't even imagine just the rent on one of those theaters.
It's absurd. And the way that the Broadway industry has changed so dramatically after COVID is the theaters, the insurance, the unions, everything has gone up monumentally. So it's the reason why you will see in Broadway nowadays, and for the past few years, just a surplus of jukebox musicals, really quite, with a few sparkling exceptions, but a lot of silliness that, to me, I'm here in New York for theater, and I feel as though this industry, this Broadway business that I have loved my whole life, it feels like a cruise ship. It can feel embarrassing at times, and I hope that I get to be a part of a new world of composers that actually build something new in Broadway or theater in general. It doesn't matter if it's Broadway or not. It just matters that it happens. So
I want to get back to Broadway in general, but before that, I want to dig into the musical a little bit. Has it been, I don't know if you've ever released this information, but I'm sure you have it in your head at least. Like, is there a song list exactly? Like maybe fans could put together all the albums and like have the musical playlist kind of thing going on?
Yes, I think I made it private for just people that are working on the musical right now, and casts that we already have.
I could have missed it. You put out a lot of information.
Yeah, no, I don't think you've missed it. I think I have a YouTube playlist that is basically, this is the musical, minus the few songs that haven't been recorded yet, but everything's written. There's the full libretto. It is real and it is done. I
imagine what it's like. Fight Like a Girl, parts of Opheliac, and then the musical album all combined in some way.
With about 10 other things and a bunch of and yes, and my struggle with it now is that it's simply too long, and that there are certain songs that are one day they're in and then one day they're out, and then someone else asks for this version of a script and they need it to see what would it look like. This is like a producer, and what would it look like if it was 2 hours long rather than 3.5? And then it's like one that keeps coming in and out. Just this is what I'm going through now, is take the pill. Does it get to stay? Does it not? It was written for that, and it probably won't make it in because there is simply not enough time. So yeah, things
Have
like
you
that.
thought of, or is, I guess that'd be interesting to see, because I'd love to hear it like in order, of some kind of order. But
Yes,
have you?
I will make public my
Okay.
Asylum musical playlist, which is
Oh,
called
great.
Asylum Musical Playlist, and it's basically everything that is released in the order it will be. So for anyone watching when that comes out, then just keep in mind that there's a whole bunch of holes that those songs have not been recorded yet,
Yes.
but will be.
Have you thought about what kind of pit you would have? Like what kind of instrumentations, or I guess this in the dream world of like, if you get everything that you want, how
Right.
big would your pit be, and would it be live music and
It
things
would
like
be,
that?
yes, it would absolutely be. This is a great question, because there is the reality of where that industry has gone, which is smaller.
Because you
have
never really have
significantly
live.
less
I mean, on stage, your show, it's mostly just you playing instruments sometimes, but
That's
I
it, yeah.
imagine at the musical, you would all have to be there.
Oh, yes. So what is in the score now is the electronic backing tracks, because there is a lot of the
Sort of
industrial,
industrial elements,
I mean, the fantasy synth, all of that. The electronic element in the musical is very heavy, but it also has the complete symphonic, classical, orchestral writing, which to me relies on real people.
Yeah.
That said, I'm very aware that to me, everything changes when the Phantom of the Opera Orchestra, which has always been the biggest, is cut down. And now where they couldn't even afford to keep it open in New York at all. And
We're
to
gonna
me,
get there, trust me.
a New York without that is not, I don't even know where I am anymore. But so that's the thing, is it's like if you're going to do something this big, no, this is a very hard one for me, but know that there will be compromises, and I may not get 18 violinists. I may get
Yeah.
4 and
Right.
a lot of backing tracks. And you just say, will it sound exactly like it needs to? Will as many people be actually hired as possible? Yes and yes. But
And
you do what you can in a very changing industry, and you've got to be smart enough to be aware of what's actually going on around you, or you don't get to do it at all.
do you have a dream cast? Have you casted this musical in your mind, and are you the lead role, or would somebody else play you?
I'm the lead role for the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel I can't actually. I would love to think of someone that could do that, because it's not about, other than that this is my life's work and personal story, and it means a lot more if the person who actually lives that is the one that you're watching.
Right.
But I am concerned about the prospect of understudies, because I have not seen anyone who is actually crazy enough to be able to sing this entire part as it stands, and yet they have to. So I think there are going to be some people who utterly blow my mind in the skill and the range that they're going to have to not just be an amazing vocalist, but to be able to act this, to play both characters convincingly and bring them together by the end, and sing in multiple different styles. Usually you have one person that can do one thing really, really well. And yes, the point
there's
is
some like
understudies will
guttural.
be
You
hard,
you
but
have some guttural vocal
it's,
parts that people would
who's
have to
going
do.
to do, and it isn't, please no, this isn't me saying I'm so brilliant, nobody can be
Right.
me. The point is, this is different.
We
This
can
is
say
not a
that for
normal
you.
vocal part. You can say that, but this is not, because I am not a Broadway singer, and that has not been my life. I am just this mishmash of things that I love and have built a world that they can live inside of. That is all that I am. And yes, somebody has to do something like we have instructions, and then be able to do, well, I'm thinking of a song, one of the biggest songs hasn't been released yet, but a song that is very high and operatic. And we'll see. Somebody is out there. That said, the most exciting thing is we have our stock hill, and that is, yeah, I have no words for how perfect that is. And the truth is, I would wait another 15 years to be able to have the right stock hill. And the magic of Broadway is it doesn't flipping matter how old you are. So, and it also doesn't matter how old these characters are, because they're not real, they're archetypes.
Right.
All of the Emilies are an archetype of that. And what matters is how they make you feel, the actuality, which is why the whole, like, is the story different if she's 17 in the audiobook versus 27 in the real book? It actually doesn't, because that's not what's important. What's important is what this person represents, what this character, because once it's in a book, it's a character. And they're archetypal figures, the doctors, the house itself, the rats, they're an ancient Greek chorus. And so that's the beauty of the future, is that for something this important, I mean, I have recently been given opportunities to put this on now, and it would not be with the people that I want. And I would rather wait and do something else in this moment while everything else comes together.
Sure. Okay. Wow. Where was I going to go next from there?
I think we need some tea. We need to hydrate. Do you have anything? What have you got?
I have something that I'm drinking.
That is very gothic.
Hmm.
Well done. Let's drink together.
Gothic.
Does everyone
Cheers.
watching have tea?
Yes.
Tea
Get
can
your
be in
tea.
quotations,
Yes. I know it's not always tea on stage.
It is not. It is never tea on stage if the captain is making it.
Right. Well, cheers, everybody.
Heavily alcoholic. Cheers.
So when you listen to your playlist musical, do you have the whole thing staged out in your head? Can you imagine how everything? I'm sure, right?
Yes. However, that is the first time where I am intentionally building into my world, my stuff, my art, building in openness, because I want to have my mind blown by the people working on this. And that's not something that I feel about the music itself or anything. I need people to just walk backwards out of the room when it comes to this. But when it comes to a show, that is collaborative. That's very different than all of this fun stuff that I do in here by myself. So with that show, I want to, we will have a set designer that just breaks my brain with something I never could have thought of, for how do we solve these ridiculous problems of how do you have, this has been a subject of much conversation over the past couple of years, is how do we have, how can we see the full ward, the prison cells? How do we see the girls in these cells through these bars? Do the bars come up and go down? Do the bars move apart and they can move around and we understand they're still imprisoned, which is something we did even on the tour, is I'll have a song like Gaslight where I will be imprisoned, run off, and we understand that she's fantasizing this. She's fantasizing being able to go and hold hands with the audience and reach towards the spotlight at the back of the theater and dream about being free. And then she has to go back and put on her chain at the end. So there's a lot of that magical realism, that fantasy. And I think leaning into that is the solution for a lot of things, is stop trying to make this so literal. And I've actually consciously put a pin in how much I want to design it, because I want somebody to come up with things I've never thought of. And that goes for direction as well, that the idea of me directing it is something that's been put out there. I don't want to. I want to be surprised. I want to get to live this in a new way. And every version everyone's gotten of this story has always been because I lived it first and I told it, but nothing was a surprise to me. And I want to be surprised on this experience. I've lived it enough in my version, and I want the music to be mine, but the experience to be so
Needs
much
to be
more
fresh for you again, right?
Exactly. If it's going to be, again, such a big part of my life, I want to be completely shocked by what it becomes. And I know that will be so much better than something I could have just drawn on my own, to be honest.
Right.
I know what I know, and I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right. And all I know is that I don't know. All I know is that I don't know nothing. That's opera.
There you go. Not for nothing.
So I want
Is
to.
the new work going to come out?
Let me step back to the larger picture of just theater in general, because I want to. And this is where I'm going to do a little set change. So I'm going to disappear for a moment while you're talking. But I know, your show is always so unique because you're kind of bringing Broadway into like the rock club. And I don't know anyone else who really does that. That's not really the question, although if you know of anyone else who does that, I'm curious. But I want to know sort of how you became, or what's, your background in being interested in Broadway and theater, and how it all led to that. And while you're talking, I'm going to do a little change.
A set change?
Yeah, sure, if you want. So I'll be here, but I'm going to remove myself for a moment, but I will still be here.
Now, shall I answer the question and play at the same time?
Well, that's up to you.
How crazy do we want to get?
I want to get really crazy.
Is everyone completely medicated right now? Is this safe?
Yes, everyone take your meds, and then let's get crazy.
Right, everyone.
Or don't take your meds, I don't know.
Or don't.
Yeah.
Whichever.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right. I will miss you wholeheartedly. So, style of the show, Broadway-esque, that is something that I have always loved. What I'm interested in is storytelling. I never anticipated that I would be a rock singer, performer, any of that. I aimed to be a classical violinist. And when the Asylum happened, I felt that I needed to sing and scream about it on stage in front of people. And when I was given the opportunity to do so, I wanted to tell the story of what I'd experienced, of the characters that came to me in the place in which I'd experienced it, that portal that opened up in that psych ward all those years ago, and the rats and fellow inmates and doctors that came through it. And that's what I was interested in, is how can I tell a story? I don't personally have any desire to just go and sing songs, which is why, back to the I can never be mainstream, I can never have a random love song or the song of the summer, because I don't care and I don't want to.
Well, that might change hearing some of your new stuff that you're working on, but that's a whole different conversation.
Look at you!
All right, so this is going to be the first time I'm referencing 4 o'clock here, your EP, and
this is wild. I had no idea we talked about this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay. I just noticed that you turned from the garish light of day, of course, in 4 o'clock, and I know where that's from. And here I am live now from the Paris Opera House.
Oh, look at you! That's what I thought it was.
Yes. Here I am live from my studio at the Palais Garnier.
How do I have that? Because this is all very real, but I want what you have. So tell me in our secret private chat we have. So really that's not a green screen. That's actually
no, it's a backdrop.
No, stop
real
it.
Backdrop. Yeah.
I need it. This. Is that the magic of Amazon?
Magic. Yes, it is. I couldn't believe it.
Look, everyone knows by Amazon, we don't actually mean Amazon. That's the code word, because the actual place that you get something like that, you can't say out loud. It's like Fight Club. So don't worry about it.
Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but one of my biggest fascinations is Phantom of the Opera. So I really want to talk about Phantom of the Opera with you. And that's where I was leading towards this.
All right, you just take it away, because I want, wherever you are steering me in your gondola, I want to go.
Well, I know you love Phantom of the Opera, so I want to hear about your love of Phantom of the Opera and how that started, or how that influences your work, or wherever you want to take that question.
Is this like, you ask the questions I always dreamed that journalists would. So thank you.
That's why I host my own show now.
Yeah. Yes. I appreciate it deeply.
I just ask what I want to know.
Yes. Oh, I love you.
And I want
Truly.
I want to talk to you about Phantom of the Opera. That's like my
Yeah.
favorite
Well,
thing.
let's do it.
And I
So
know New York, Phantom of the Opera, we already mentioned it. I was there the last week on Broadway. I got front row tickets. I had to see it
You
front
did.
row at least once.
Yes. I
And
think
it
I
was
was there the
magical.
second to last week. But
Yeah.
yeah, not last one. So for me, it's just very simple. I just loved it. I was exposed to a lot of musicals when I was little. I've been just utterly obsessed with everything Andrew Lloyd Webber always, because why in the hell wouldn't you be? If you hear it, you love this thing. And because I love drama and story and the aesthetic of that thing, I do think it's fair to say that I wouldn't have the same dark romantic aesthetic had I not grown up with that show. There's other things I've gotten from other ones, like Les Mis, for example, which was almost as big for me, but I don't think anything was quite as big as Phantom was, and the Michael Crawford voice in particular. Just, I think that voice, I didn't realize it until this very, very, very moment, but I think that voice influenced Dr. Stockhill as a character, not Phantom as a story, but the voice, that silvery. I think don't I say it? Did I steal this? Don't I even say it in the book? Is like the smooth, silvery tone of this character. And when in the years long casting process of this show, primarily, I mean, that is the lead role opposite me, is finding someone in a world without a Michael Crawford that sounds.
Well, he's still here, isn't he? Can you get Michael Crawford to do it?
I would love to, if he'd be willing. If he has the
Michael, if you're watching.
Michael, if you're watching.
Dr. Stockhill is calling.
Dr. Stockhill is calling. I mean, who wouldn't? That is Stockhill is like, in the musical, it's like Phantom on steroids. I mean, he is so horribly bad. And yet the challenge for that character is that he has got to be so incredibly appealing to where you want these two characters to kiss, even though you really want this guy to die. It's like, I have so many inappropriate references that I'm not going to say live, but I'll do it in the
after
secret
party.
chat. Yeah, put it in the secret chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't say this out loud, but this is the way that I think of this character. Okay, you ready to see this?
Yes.
No one gets to see this but you.
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right, you feel it?
Sure.
Like, you need to hate him that much and still be like, why do I like this guy? So finding that person has taken a long time, and finding that voice that can do that silvery tone, and still it's almost a man stripped of that, a more androgynous, a more asexual, because Stockhill, that's sort of the fun of him, is he's not a sexual creature. He dominates in a completely different way. He's a predator in the same way that Dr. Sharp, the real doctor at the psych ward, was a sexual predator, and yet they're both, and they're dual. All the roles in the Asylum musical are dual roles. So Sharp is Stockhill, head nurse is Mornington. They're all it's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Right.
And so,
which he also was in, by the way.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which
a
I never
lesser known
saw.
work. I never saw it either.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know
hard
if it was
to
in
be
New York,
interested.
was it?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think that was probably a London thing. London is amazing for theater, but that is not the
Phantom
question.
is still there, thank God.
I know. That is
I've
the
never
thing.
seen it there, but I'd love to.
No. Well, I believe, I could be wrong. I know. No, you know what? I am wrong. This was the bit of news that Cameron McIntosh had cut the size of the orchestra.
Yes, I remember that, and I was like, oh.
It's not a good feeling, because like
that's
many
part
things
of
in the world
appeal.
today.
It's like how large it was,
Yes. Yeah, and just that was sort of the paragon of this is what's possible. This is what the ideal version of a real musical can be, and it involves this many real people.
Yeah.
And it is important. I know it's a luxury to place importance on things like this, but I do. It is important that those people had jobs. And I remember seeing something in the press, and I don't want to say it verbatim because it's gossip and I don't even know if it was true, but some line that someone in charge was saying, being like, well, I'm sure they're tired of playing the same old music every night. And to that, I thought, okay, these people are trained classical musicians. There is zero money in what they do. If you have the luxury of this incredible art that you built, that you trained for, as I did, in a world with no financial gain attached to that, and you are able to get a job playing your instrument in any capacity, I can guarantee that they were not excited to not have to play the same old music, the same old glorious music anymore. So it was just a sad thing. And I think, moreover, that like with many things in the world as it is going along this path, that we know the genie isn't going back in the bottle. So you think, oh, maybe they'll hire more musicians at some point when they make more money. And no, they won't. Once you take something away, sort of once you outsource jobs to, et cetera, it's not coming back. So great. Now we just all cried together about the state of the industry. What the hell is this?
Crying.
I know. We both have little silver tears on today. It's almost like we talked about this.
Do you remember the first time you saw Phantom, or like what's your story there?
I saw it when I was a child in Los Angeles. I was in the very back row of the top balcony, and I think it was my second musical that I'd ever been to, and it was just a place that I never wanted to leave. It's like somebody drops you off at Disneyland and you're just thinking, okay, I'll stay here. This is fine. So yeah, I think that influenced just the aesthetic of my storytelling. I'm positive that it did.
I'm positive it did too, and that's probably part of why I love what you do, because I see that in there, and I hear it in the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, there's a Phantom thing in there.
Thank you. And because it took me a minute to see, what is he talking about? There was no intentional reference to the light of day, but I absolutely
the garish light of day.
Yeah.
That's exactly from Music of the Night.
That never occurred to me before.
So it was subconscious, really?
Completely subconscious. No, I remember writing that song in Germany at this house in the woods between tour legs in Europe, and the German label I was on at the time saying, we really need, it would be great if we had another EP or a single. And I feel like we're really destroying any glamorous things about industries today, or literary. We've just taken down the literary industry. We've just
tear it all down.
The middle finger to Broadway. But this is not what I intended at all. I'm usually a very positive person,
I think it's positive in a different way. I mean, you've got to tear down the industry to bring out yourself.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yes, anarchy. So yes, how
circle that.
I'm going to answer a question that no one asked, which is, I had to record 4:00 because I was very new to this label, and they wanted to get my album, Opheliac, which they had put out, which I'm forever grateful for. They wanted that to have, for me, in record stores across Europe, to have its own space where you have your own name. Remember when we had those? So you'd go into Tower Records and you have your own name.
Remember record stores, guys?
Remember records at all. There's one here down the street from me. We're in Manhattan, obviously. And anyway, I don't think I have a section in there. But so they really wanted a section with my name on it in all the record stores. And in order to do that, these are the things I learned at the time. I didn't know. You had to have, long time ago, you had to have 5 releases. They were saying, okay, let's you did this teenage album that never really came out, Enchant, and could we put that out? That's another one, because they were pushing Opheliac. And
Wait,
okay, we have
Enchant came out afterwards?
Enchant came out afterwards in the sense that it was recorded years and years before. A
Yeah,
very
yeah.
small amount of people knew about it. That was the before everything. I'm a child
Right.
learning to sing. And those are
I
my
just figured it was
teenage songs.
released before that too.
Yeah. No, it was released as a package of, look what happened before the Asylum. This is who she was, because there was admittedly this growing fascination of, who the hell is this girl? She's coming, she's screaming on lyre, she plays the violin, this is nuts, what's going on? And meanwhile, she's talking about suicide and all of this stuff.
Right.
Like, it was weird, but really exciting. And there was this fascination of, where did all of this come from? And what did she do before this? Because she just exploded into Germany, and now she's here all the time. And so the deal was, we want to get Opheliac its own we want you to have your own section in a record store. Can we put out your teenage album? Can we do like everything that you have on your hard drive? What do you have that you recorded in a kitchen as like a voice memo? That's a bit of this and that. Just all the little bits and pieces of things over time that were never meant to go on anything. What else? Laced Unlaced was there, and that's something that I just did anyway. So it's like, all right, we got this. They said we need one more thing, and it was literally you have a week in this house in Germany. What can you record? So I had a little laptop and just a microphone, no outboard gear, nothing, and I just built, like, no keyboard, just built everything by picking in the notes of 4 o'clock, which is really fun when you think of all the wild harpsichord sweeping things. That's just me going click, 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 and automating, the strings and all of that, and recording in a German bedroom. And that, of course, when somebody says, we need another release, I'm not going, oh, you terrible label. I'm going, yay, I get to make more music and someone wants to hear it. This is the best thing in my life. So I get to tell more stories. I get to tell about this part of insomnia that happens when you are bipolar and waking up at 4 o'clock every night. That is also what these girls struggle with in this asylum for obvious reasons.
In New York, that's when bars close.
Yes.
So I'm always up at 4 o'clock on the weekends.
Yes. I have to find, we won't get into this, sleep. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah,
Secret chat. Sure. Yes. The importance of sleep and how my life has changed because of that. Because of what happens when I don't sleep, which it's funny, the whole asylum and this character of me is so reliant on or so associated with insomnia. The 4 o'clock song definitely helps with that. And I've always been completely nocturnal, and I've had to strategically change that with the help of an Aura ring that's charging right now in order to not go into regular hypomanic episodes. So the more you know.
Yes, that wasn't on my list. So good side.
Got that out there.
Yeah.
So take me back on your boat.
Yes, let's get back on the boat. Well, okay. Well, I gotta ask a few Phantom follow-up questions before we get. And then I'm gonna come back to 4 o'clock for another thing.
Please, can I bring out my Phantom lantern?
Yes.
I'm going to give this to you.
Oh my God.
Close your eyes, for your eyes will only tell the truth. Next line is yours.
You should see my Phantom closet, but it's like in the other direction. Yeah, it's full of things. I mean, but like I go deep. I'm obsessed with the book and all the different movies and all that kind of stuff. The Broadway is like, it's a big part of it, but it's like so small in the grand scheme of things.
It is the tip of the iceberg of the entire story and world of that subject and of the real place where you are right now.
Yes, of course. My studio at the Paris Opera House, of course, where I operate. I gotta ask, Love Never Dies? What do you think?
Hate it. I think it's absolutely horrible. And I think that when someone like Lloyd Webber creates even if he'd only given us cats, I would give him a pass on anything, because what
I
he's
like
given
cats.
us is so magnificent. I love cats. If he had only made Jesus Christ Superstar, that would be enough. That is more than
He
most
started
humans would
grunge
ever
music with that.
contribute.
I'm convinced.
Oh, wow.
Don't you think?
Do you have?
Dun,
Oh,
dun, 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 dun.
okay. I like where
Just
this
putting
is
that out
going.
there.
So the point being that I think it's absolutely all right if your favorite artist does something that you don't like. And it doesn't take away from how they've completely shaped your life and the beauty that they've given to the world. And I'm sure that all of us have something that people like more than others. And that's the story of that. It doesn't take away from, you just have to compartmentalize and say,
Right.
I don't know why this ever happened.
I think it's
but
fascinating for different reasons.
I just, I don't want to think of the Phantom in that way. I don't
Yeah,
want to. It's just not. It's
There's
not
some
what
great music in it, but the story is kind of.
It's just like, how does this make things better? How does
Yeah.
this add on to the thing to know that, oh, apparently Christine went back after the whole end of the show that I sat through and had sex with the Phantom in the lair because
Spoiler
okay,
alert, in the book he dies, so you can't have a
Yeah.
sequel.
you can't. But apparently love never
Money.
dies. All right, love never
Yeah.
dies. And I honestly think in this case that, like, there is money, but when you're talking about people who have more money than they will ever need, deservedly so,
I know, yeah.
I think he probably really didn't want the story to end. He probably had music inside him that was related to that world that he wanted to share.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably more sincere than we give it credit for. I just like the story as it was, but it doesn't take anything away. When you've given that much great work to the world, you can kind of have a misfire every now
Well,
and again.
You're in New York. Have you seen Masquerade?
I have not seen Masquerade.
You haven't seen
Simple.
Masquerade yet?
You want to go with me?
Yeah. Well, I saw the first weekend of previews.
Oh,
So it probably got a lot better from when I saw it. It was very like experimental still, but I
it?
had to go. Yeah.
Well, now I want to know about the version you saw, because I have a friend who just said, I need to take you to this the other day. And the fact is I'm so insanely busy that I can't go see anything right now. But
Hugh Panero was back for a while.
tell me more.
Well, I didn't see that one, but yeah, it's I have complicated feelings about it. First of all, going back to what we were talking about before about cutting the orchestra, like there's like no live music in this.
It
It's
makes
all
sense, 'cause I imagine you're
there's
walking
one
around.
violin player who like kind of does an intro and like floats around a little bit, but it's all tracks. And I feel like that was like a big killer for me.
Do you feel as though it had to
And
be
there's
in
no
order?
staircase. It's called Masquerade and there's no staircase.
All right, that doesn't make much sense. I'm guessing, what sort of a venue was that in? And I wonder if it's been in the same one the whole time.
Yes, it's been in the same one. It was an old art store and it's still on the outside looks like an art store, but it's all got paper, like newspapers in the window. So it looks like it's kind of like closed.
Wait,
So you go into
how
the
big is the venue?
what?
How big is the venue?
That's hard to tell because you go from room to room and you're like, how fucking big is this place? You're going up escalators and then back into this room and then they take you to this room. It's kind of like what fascinated me about it is how they do it more so than the show itself, if that makes sense.
Yes, I was very curious for the technical reasons. Like,
Yeah,
I've
like
gone to
there's-
shows that I don't like many times just to try to get a glimpse of how a set piece worked. So I can understand.
They have 5 casts running simultaneously. So each show starts 15 minutes apart from each other, and then they just cycle everyone through the rooms, and they have 5 different casts at the same time. So I don't know how they arranged that. It's pretty brilliant.
That's quite
And
interesting.
it's really cool, like being right in front of the chandelier. Like you can touch
Oh.
like at one point in the show, undoubtedly the Phantom will touch you or brush past you, but I don't know. it's not as scary as I wanted it to be. Like I wanted it to be like, oh my god, the Phantom's behind me, but it was more like, oh my god, the Phantom's behind me.
No.
You know, like I want him to
Oh.
be really scarier, and they made him more of a. He's the main character of this, and not as much
Yes.
Christine.
Right, that makes sense. This is his ball. Welcome back to his thing.
So they added the song from the movie, from the end, which I don't really like very much. And
See, that is things like that are needed, and I understand this now. Is you need to be able to get an original song Oscar if you put out a movie. So all the musical movies
I
need to
get
add
it.
a little extra one, and no one ever likes them because
Yeah.
they're never like
It
when
wasn't very
something's made for a sincere reason, or when I mean, if I made something for money, you would know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if I made it for money, if it was money that was like, if I get this money, I can give it to someone for a really good cause, it would probably be amazing. But you know what I'm saying is like, you know that when he made Phantom, that came from that was from the source, through him to us.
You can tell.
And when someone says, we need another song so that we can get this Oscar, it's not coming from the same.
No. Okay, I'm done with my Phantom stuff.
No!
I had to go there. Well, maybe we'll see.
All right, could we do this again and only talk about theater?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really only interested in theater via Phantom of the Opera, so I can't talk as in depth about anything else but Phantom. But I could talk Phantom for hours. If you want to just come back and talk Phantom sometime.
100%. Absolutely.
Okay. But I want to talk more about you first.
I don't know. I really kind of liked what we were doing.
Okay, well, maybe we'll come back to it. But I need to get some more things out of you.
Steer the gondola. Can we have a lip gloss moment?
Sure.
Would you like to join me in a lip balm moment? Anyone watching?
All
Would you
right,
like a
I
lip
have
balm
my lip
moment?
balm.
We've got some Burt's Bees tinted, which is always nice.
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit?
I guess so.
Oh.
I don't know. It's pink.
Oh, that's cute.
It's chapstick, but
love a chapstick. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, I want to go back to 4 o'clock for different reasons. So let's go back to 4 o'clock. I want to talk about, well, first cover songs, because
yes,
there's a cover on this which I'm going to get to. But you've done a bunch of them, when you choose them, does it have to fit into the world, or is that a consideration, or no?
Not at all. They're just for fun. They're just for fun. They're just the release of something that I love, that I feel compelled to do something. It's sort of my respite from the worlds that I live in and tell stories from, is because it is unlikely, who knows? It is unlikely that I'm ever going to just write music that isn't about some world, because world building is the thing I love the most.
Well, that's where I'm also going with it. So this is
good. Okay, very cool. So but even I like to just have some fun with music, have some fun singing, see what can I make with the sonic landscape that I love to work in.
Sure.
And put it on something. What would that sound like? So it's just the exploration of it. I think that's most of the case. If you ask one in particular, but I know the most recent cover I did was Passenger, and that was simply for fun. That
didn't seem to fit into the Asylum really, but we love Iggy Pop, sure.
No, absolutely. That was truly a one. Scorps Mark is obsessed with Iggy Pop, and it was true. Honestly, it was a gift to him to say, like,
amazing that guy's still alive and touring. And
I know.
I've never seen him, but I mean, living legend, of course.
Yeah. No.
And another living legend. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all. I was just saying. I love an Iggy Pop, and I was fascinated by the Passenger song because, to me, lyrically, it's so much darker than the way that he sings it, and so I wanted to sing what I thought those lyrics meant, which is really quite awful. And that was that. What was your question?
Well, here's my little show and tell. Here's my Love It to Death album signed by Michael Bruce and Dennis Dunaway. So my guy is Alice Cooper. I like Alice Cooper.
Oh, yes.
And when I think it was like unlisted maybe at the time or something, but when I heard Is It My Body come up, I was like, Oh my God, this is
Oh,
incredible.
sweet
Tell me the
moment.
story about that song and why you chose that one. It's not even like a hit of his. Like Passengers was a hit, I think.
No, I
Is It My
think so.
Body is like one of the B-sides, more or
Yeah,
less.
it's so cool. I think I'm trying to remember. We're talking about things that occurred very long ago,
Yeah.
but I
You should
believe
know it was on the 4 o'clock, so that's
I
where I was
know.
going with that.
I believe that
Yeah.
that was just a song that I was in a car with an ex-boyfriend, and on whatever their mixtape was, that came on, and I just thought it was great.
It's a
And
great
I
song.
was in a very, I mean, it fits in with that whole, with a lot of what's on Opheliac, of that very nasty, like in a burlesque sense, I'm just going to satirize my body, my feelings, my all of this, and just rip everything open and revel in the gory,
Yeah.
bloody
I mean, I
mess
feel
that is
like
going
that
on.
song
Yeah,
fits more into the concept than some of the other ones that you've done.
absolutely. That one, I think, was just my vibe, to be banal about it at the time. As I heard that, and I thought, oh, I could have some fun with
Well, I
this.
love it. I
It
think
would be
that
great
song
to
needs
perform.
more attention, so I'm glad that you brought
Thank you
attention
so
to
much.
it. Is
No,
It My
no one
I was
has
like, "Oh my
ever.
God."
Oh, that is so sweet. I
Yeah.
love imagining little you in that moment, being
Yeah.
surprised by what this new weird girl did on a track that I think was like a hidden track or something.
Well, I was like this. I don't know.
Oh, my
'Cause, like, you
sweet.
hear the intro and you're like, "This sounds really familiar. Oh my god."
What? Oh, I'm so happy. I have to go listen to that now because
Yeah.
I haven't heard it in
I'm
years. I
going
think
to listen to Is It My Body after this. It's great.
let's do that. Is It My Body listening
Yeah.
party?
So,
Oh,
I
thank
also
you so
wanna
much for bringing
I
that
wanted
up.
just to branch out also into, like, I wanna talk about character a little bit because I love concepts and characters, and, my other favorite band is Gwar and stuff like that,
Right. Oh,
And so, Alice Cooper, obviously, he's kinda playing his character, and I wanted to hear your story about playing kind of yourself as a character and how you relate to that.
oh, that's so interesting. Prompt me. What is most
Hmm.
curious to you? Because I could go in so many directions.
Right. Well, let me think about that.
Yeah.
Character, I guess how much of it do you consider? I mean, it's kind of like a version of you, but, like, how much do
Mm.
you consider it a character compared to, like I mean, I don't know how much you wanna reveal about yourself here, but
Oh,
compared
sure.
to yourself as a real person versus Emily Autumn, the character, and going,
Yes.
through the asylum every night and all that,
Yeah.
how do you approach that, I guess?
I think because that character, it's a character in that once you put a heart on your cheek like that, this is a character in the sense that it is a heightened version of a very real thing that is made to make truth entertainment, and
Mm.
where I've never actually thought about this in this sense, so
Oh.
this is very, very fresh
We're
thinking.
watching her think. It's very
You're
interesting.
watching. I know, it's slower than you'd imagine. I
That's
talk
okay.
fast, the thinking
Well,
takes
those gears are old and rusty.
They are old. They're 1885 for God's sake.
Yeah. Let's
So
go back to the cover here, right? Oh, no, there's not a gear. I thought there was a gear on here somewhere.
No, I
Oh,
think
wow.
there probably was on a T-shirt that went
Maybe.
with that, but they're behind the paper. They're behind the
Yeah.
paper. They're behind the
Right.
striped walls. So for character, I think in the case of the Emilies, that is me. That isn't a manufactured thing. It's just the parts. Let's get bad goth poetry. The shards of the mirror
Mhm.
that broke, and you're looking at all the different parts of them. In each one is a reflection of some part of you that you choose to put on display and sort of saying revel 2 times in a conversation with I don't even think is legal, but that you choose to revel in. And
You're gonna be in trouble, Emily.
I know there's like my writer's police that says, "You can't do that." The writer's police is in my head, but
We're gonna get the
still.
thesaurus out.
Nice. Oh, I've got one in here. I can go down the
Just for
alphabet.
this, not for reading.
Yeah, this is it. So the character of the me is very strongly that is actually me who is celebrating, reveling in different aspects in different songs, in different parts of a show. Where things get interesting is the other characters that I get to play in the same show, which are not me. So in certain songs, like I think with the Flag album, songs started to be included that were in the voice of other characters in the show. There she is. Look at those perky little friends.
Look
So
at that.
I know.
That's a great picture.
But that picture is great because you see that I'm not actually wearing underpants on that picture because I forgot them. I mean, look closely. I'm not making this up. Look, there's no that on the. I don't know why I'm pointing as though that helps anyone.
That's
but
okay.
So that was a massive photo shoot that was in Australia at this very real abandoned asylum for women.
Nice.
And it was a massive honor to get to go there and do a shoot. And we got permission and all of that. It is fantastic. And that, I don't mean me, I mean that place. And so full of ghosts. And I got to have time. They gave me time alone at the end to just go and be with whoever's still in there. And I just went and had a chat. But on the biggest photo shoot, the biggest thing of that tour was going there and taking these pictures for this album. And I forgot my under things, like the little bloomers and all of that I wear on stage.
This is scandalous.
And you can see it there, but I'm standing in the way and it's cropped at the way that like the bottom of the corset just does like a little codpiece situation. And the top of the garter belt, which was just a piece of elastic, is there. And what's funny is I could have just completely, or especially now, I could just be like, AI, put pants on her. But I love that everything I've done was done before any of this existed.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to have been, even though there is no time, I am so fucking lucky to have been born at a time where everything, as I was coming up, had to be made by you or it was not made. And how lucky is that? I mean, it just reminds me of, I babysat a friend's child, and I realized that she's 1 year old and she had never seen anything Jim Henson. And so immediately we're like,
what?
Number one.
So Labyrinth came first, right?
I just started at the beginning. It's like,
okay,
this is Cookie Monster. Let's talk about this. So we just put on Sesame Street and she flipped the F holes out. A real thing, a real puppet. There's so many ways I could go here. Let's get back to your question because I'm ruining it.
No, I was sidetracked by your undergarments conversation. So I liked that better, I think.
Yes. So that's Asylum.
We were talking about character.
Yes. And that
maybe you've explored that already.
Underpants that day.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah, that character doesn't wear pants and puts out the pictures anyway and just says, they won't mind. She's wearing tights.
No,
so,
especially now that we know.
Yeah, now that you know, those pictures are even more precious.
Yeah.
But they are to me. It was just like, do we do this anyway? Does everyone want to get out of the van and do this anyway? And
hell yeah.
It was kind of we'll fix it in post, or people have seen your boobs before. I don't think anyone's going to freak out over this. So, and they didn't. I don't even know if anyone noticed.
You're in good company here.
Thank you, darling. To the Flag album, that is where other characters started to appear. And then which was so much fun for me to get to sing as other people. And then the Asylum musical, behind the musical that came after that is majority other characters.
Right.
And I have had, I think, the best time in becoming the other archetypes, the other parts of the story. And in a sense, the costumes and the visuals of what were happening even at the first Opheliac shows, or once the rat mask started, that became, I'm me, but I'm also the rat. Now the rat mask then developed into the spikes on the top. Well, what was that? That was the gate. So now I'm me. I'm also the rat. I'm also, what does the gate represent? The whole asylum. I'm the house. I just got goosebumps. I'm me. I'm the rat. I'm the house. Now I'm sort of evil. Now I'm also the doctors. I'm also the villain. And the joy of putting the shows together was, yes, I'm at the center of this. But once we start talking about the asylum world, it's not. There is no singular person, and every character contains within them, especially the me characters, contains within them a fraction of every other element of that story. The characters, the wards, the cells, the gate, the rats. Everything is one thing. And why is that? Because it all came from a portal from another place to one person having one experience. So how can I, it's like your dream. There's nothing there that you didn't create. There is nothing in that world, in that story, that didn't come from here. We can say, oh, it's actually magical and it's through time and it came from whatever, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it was translated through this one mind. So the building, the asylum, doesn't exist without me. The rat, Sir Edward, the mascot of this whole story, the love of my life, my father figure, Sir Edward doesn't exist without me. And worst and best of all is Dr. Stockhill doesn't exist without me. I am that. And that's where character gets fun. And even when it's to be acted in full musical format, that is always there. There is an element, and that's when I say, like, it's a very special person that's going to play this role after me, not because I'm so great, but because I am all of these things. I have to be. That's the only reason why they're out in the world. And that person has to be able to be all those things. And they will be. There's probably loads of girls who could do that. And when I meet them, I'm going to fall in love.
Nice. Well, let me take this in a slightly different direction. Okay, what do I want to ask first here? And first of all, you're still good. I feel like we're cooking here. Can we go a little bit longer?
We're cooking.
Okay,
we're cooking.
great.
Look, we got spoons.
Yeah, we got the spoons.
What do you do with spoons? You cook something.
Uh-huh. Sure.
I'm just excited to hear what you have. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, the Asylum musical, possibly a movie, like all the options there. But first, does Emilie the character ever get out of the asylum and have a different kind of adventure?
No.
Or so like that character's kind of in there for your lifetime?
Oh, do you mean does that Emilie character ever actually not so like does she go on to have her own miniseries of something else, or maybe a prequel of something, which sounds really fun. It's not a bad idea, but as of yet, her fate is that she stays there, and the reason for that is because that character, being the character that is the most closely, like I don't become someone else when this camera goes off. This is truly it. This is the most normal version of me. This is the least character version of me that anyone's ever really going to see. So I don't leave the asylum. I live here. I'm always going to live here. And she can't leave because I can't leave. And that's what when people in the past, having read the book, asked what happens at the end, and while the musical has something else, I've always said what happens at the end is this is what happens. She goes through that portal and comes out and gets to share it with people in this sort of in-between space that you and I and everyone watching are all living in. A note just came under the door and I have no idea what it says. So that did not help.
It's from the OG.
I think it's from the Phantom.
Yes.
Oh my God. Wait, we have a note.
Sorry, guys in the chat. I'm cooking so hard. I haven't been displaying your comments and questions.
It was a good note.
I'm so glad to read them all later. Well, let me take this in a.
Yes, please.
I guess here's like a part B to that question. Do you ever, and maybe this is like a bridge to talking about future projects, perhaps, but
sure.
do you ever become a new character that you can write something else for and become
yes.
outside of the Asylum world?
Yes. Yes. And that will happen many, many times before I leave the planet, should I be so lucky. But yes, I get
I
to
love the
be
Emily Autumn
I get to be other
Asylum
things.
stuff, but I'm still curious what else
Oh,
you're
yes.
capable of, maybe writing
Yes.
for different characters, and
Yep.
perhaps things that you're working on now are not the Emily
Yeah.
Autumn character. I
They
don't
are
know
not.
what you want to talk about or can talk about, but
Yeah,
take it away.
they are things things I'm working on now are definitely not the Emily Autumn character. So the film that I'll briefly talk about, just because I feel like I'm being inappropriately or unnecessarily mysterious
Well, I don't
about
want to
it.
get you in trouble or anything, but
I won't get in trouble. I mean, it is mine, but there are certain ways in which information is appropriate to come out, and that's official announcements and big
Right.
things. So there are certain things I can't say, but what I can say is this is a story that I wrote some time ago and have been developing, particularly over the past few years, when I realized this is the moment that this has to be made. And it will be the first film that I've directed. I'm co-directing with Scorps. So Mark and I are co-starring in this and co-directing. I'm, of course, scoring. And the music for this film is one of the most important parts of the storytelling. So as anything I ever do is going to be music based. So while it is not technically a musical, it is very music driven. And that is what I've been completely immersed in, is the creation of this score. A lot of it in advance of the actual filming, which is coming up, for the reason that I want to shoot scenes to music, even ones that aren't there. There is a fantasy dance sequence. People in the circle have seen the spoiler, which kind of wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And now they've heard some of the original
can attest
songs
to that.
in the film.
And
Yes.
they're very exciting. I can say that.
Thank
It's kind of like, sorry to cut you off.
Not at all.
There's a certain world you've been living in for 20 years, and it's so refreshing to see you kind of come out of that and do something else. But it's still you, as a person. So it's like, oh, wow, this is like a whole different universe.
Yes, that this film is so much fun in that it takes place in modern times, which is very strange for me, but it is about a real thing that happened in the world, in a world. And that said, it completely veers into fantasy. So it is heavy magical realism. It's a psychological fantasy thriller. And it is what ties it into everything else that I do, and all of the stories and worlds that I hope to get to create before my time here is up, is there is always going to be a very strong mental health through storytelling element, and that will usually be explored through fantasy, as we've always done. That is how we get to the truth of things, is through creating monsters to fight, creating doctors to battle, and being able to say the things that we still can't say out loud through this fantasy world. And that is very heavily a part of what this new film is about. It's visually spectacular, and there was a choice of, do we do all of this CGI or do we not? And after looking into all of the options of what are the most economical ways of doing this, what are the most artistic ways of doing this, what is the most realistic way of doing this, there was a day some time ago where I just pulled the plug. That's a fitting metaphor in this moment. Analogy, pulled that completely and said, I want puppetry. I would rather see the strings than and know that there was a person behind this, behind all these magical occurrences. I would rather see the wire on Kermit the Frog's arm and know, oh my God, Jim Henson's in there, than to be like, any app could do that now. It's not even impressive anymore. So in the vein of, I feel as though this sort of goes back to your DIY question, is there is a sense where that can be a very strong positive in music, in filmmaking, in storytelling of any kind, particularly now when it's very easy for anyone to do anything. Well, no, but to get it done. And what is going to be much more impressive is what can you do with something real, and how magical can that feel? And like showing Cookie Monster to a 1-year-old child the other week was so much more impressive to her than all of this crazy bombastic shit that was being thrown at her. And the children of these days, I sound like I'm 90, I'm eternal.
Exactly.
So this is in the vein of that. It has a DIY element in which things are done very practically as an intentional choice. And with that spirit, it's sort of, this is how you would make a movie like this, especially with these heavy fantasy elements that it's going to have. This is how you would make something like this in, say, the 80s. And when I had that realization, that inspired the entire soundtrack. And some of the new songs that I know you in the community have heard, is there's a bit of that nostalgia for the films that I and Mark grew up loving. There's nostalgia for Labyrinth and E.T. and The Goonies and all of that. So it's very synth heavy, and also that John Williams orchestral element that's there too, which is very me. I'm orchestral, symphonic. That's why it's so fun to do covers, is because I get to do that. And I know that not everybody gets to do that. And so I always kind of throw that in there. So it's a bit of everything, and it is very magical. And it was something that was a choice to create this and have it come out before the Asylum musical, for the reason that I think it is very timely to mental health issues that we are all experiencing right now. And to sound preposterous and over serious about it, it can't wait. So that is happening soon. And the music is being made for it every day. And the actual new single that will come out this month for everyone, Girls Will Be Girls, that, I think you already know this, so I feel silly telling you, but that is actually for the film as well. There are a few original songs for the film. One is a fantasy dance sequence, which is fabulous. And the new single has like a 30-second radio spot. There's going to be spoons. So it also has, and I can play a bit of it for your audience if you'd like, but it also has,
guys, do we want it?
Nostalgic 80s vibe, because it goes with the film. So it's sort of that bridge between the imagery that the Asylum has always been about, but also something different. And I think you can tell it's different. It's not.
We got a yes. We want to hear it.
Okay.
Whatever you're able to reveal, let's do it.
All right. We're not getting the whole song.
Yeah.
We're not getting vocals.
We're teasing you.
I'll play you. Well, I'll lead you in. So I'll set you up. Who would like to go on a little from the past to the present? Who'd like to go on a little 20-year-old? Raise your spoon if you would like to have a little harpsichord moment. All right. Let's see.
I'm going to mute myself while you're playing. So.
And that is all we get for now.
Ooh,
Thank
that's
you
amazing.
for listening. Have
Yeah,
fun.
I'm so excited because, I mean, maybe this, I've heard you talk about this a little bit, but Opheliac was sort of supposed to be a little bit more dry, right? Like it's happening live or something like that. And this is kind of just like full force, like everything, like the bass, the synth, like it's a full.
Yeah,
everything.
especially this song is like this is a celebration. And it's actually, I mean, there are multiple layers to this song. You've probably heard me talk about this in the community before, where it's, in a sense, it's a celebration of that sort of miraculous phenomenon of how women in a public bathroom divulge some of their darkest secrets and what's going on in their life. And I asked Scorps, in fact, if men do the same thing, and he said no. So I don't know. Do men form these very intense, fast friendships in public bathrooms, or is that really not?
Not really. No.
Not really. Yeah, that's.
I think
pretty
we
much
avoid
what-
each other as much as possible. Like
That's what I was told. That's what I was told.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pick the,
So
pick the
this
farthest
is,
stall away from everybody else.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard, and that's interesting. But this is a song. It's very similar in a sense to Fight Like a Girl in that it's working on more than one level simultaneously, and it is intentionally
and sort of a rally cry.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. It's actually darker than Fight Like a Girl in the sense that Flag it contains within it the seed that a revolution is possible, and a revolution contains the hope that something will change. And did it? Of course not, which I always knew. But it was, can I contain basically a call for the French Revolution, this is Flag, by the way, wrap it up in what at the time was the poppiest, catchiest banger that I could, and see, what does this go like? How do people respond to this? We didn't have a French Revolution, in case anyone was wondering, but the difference between that is that in Girls Will Be Girls, there is no hope for this empowerment, this revolution. There's a complete acceptance of the fact that this is what it is, and girls are going to take care of themselves. They're going to take care of each other. Stop looking for the politician to change his mind, and it's going to get dark and it's going to get scary, and we're going to have to do this ourselves. And
DIY.
so in that, wow, that
all the way back to the beginning again.
When it comes back, when the song comes out, the DIY is that's going to hit differently.
Right.
In a very real, very, very clever way, not in a bad way, but when the underbelly of the layer of what this song is really, the story that it's telling, there's a DIY element to it that's not so nice. And so on the surface, as you can tell from this intro, it's wickedly fun. It's all about surfaces, because what are surfaces for if not to hide something underneath? And so in the light, this
gears, right?
This new song, always gears, and rusty old gears. Rust will come back to it too.
Mm-hmm.
So in the light, this is a love letter to the original Plague Rats. It honors the imagery. I think in any lyric, there's a lot of YouTube shorts out that I've put out building up to this release, and it shows a lot of the singing, a lot of the lyrics. So there's a lot that's already available, and it has the imagery of the earliest days of the Asylum. It's got the sonic universe that brought us together, the violins, the harpsichords. That's like a full Baroque orchestra at the beginning, and electric violin solos midway through, stripe stocking samples, which you now know about. A lot of the percussion is made out of actual spoons and ripped stockings, and the swoosh sounds that those make. So it's very DIY in that sense. Is again, like, how much can we make this beautiful, shiny thing out of things that even if no one knows, no one listening to this for free on Spotify, no one knows what this is made of, but I know that it was made out of these objects that are precious to me. Like, you know, a lot of the drums are made out of this spoon. Many effects in this and certain synth melodies are made out of this teacup. This is a teacup from an inmate called Bishop, who is an honored inmate in the Asylum Inner Circle. And she sent me this gorgeous vintage teacup. And when all of our when the studio broke down on one of our weekly or bi-weekly, we have a live session that lasts several hours that is in the studio with me making this song and other things from the ground up, taking you into my sessions like that.
Yay, camera change.
Yes, look at that. And then we have and we have full keyboard view, teacup view.
Amazing.
But the fun of
Full
it is
production value.
Full production value. And I mean, production value was really everything broke down. And what did we have? We had my little sampler and this spoon and this teacup. So I started dinging around, made a synth out of it that is now in this song. And so it's the things that remind you why you're actually doing this. You're not doing it, even for an audience, you're not doing it for anyone to know what this actually took. You're doing it because this is how you celebrate the life that you're living and all of the things that mean something to you. The fun of that is that that does translate through to the people that are meant to be on this journey with you, like you and all of you. And so it matters. It's never, like we were saying, it's not going to be the song of the summer. It isn't supposed to be. I could never live that life. I would never want that to be my life.
This has the potential, though. I feel like
what's funny is
you might not want it or think it, but
this song does. I won't deny that, but I don't.
It may not be the intention, but you never know.
Well, it's on a film soundtrack, so if that blows up and it ends up being a radio hit, I will just think that's fabulous and hilarious. But I think it's more. It's not that the music, like a lot of the music, could be halfway mainstream at times, but it's me that can't. You know, I can't be that I can't be that person. But so this song has that celebration of the original Asylum world, the original aesthetic. It's in the lyrics, and then there's this darker parallel story that is running underneath. But I think that journey, like a lot of lyrics, that journey of discovery is more fun if each listener finds that out for themselves. And this will be out this month.
That's amazing. New Emilie Autumn. Is it going to be released under your name or?
Yes. It will be on the film.
Will that confuse people that it's not the character Emilie Autumn?
I wonder. That's funny. It had never. The cover art for this, I don't know if you've seen on the blog. The cover art is my hand with the chip black nail polish. That's the opening lyric is chip black polish on my fingertips. So it's not my face on the cover. So they'll probably just think, oh, it's like from some punk person. It's my nail polish against a bathroom wall.
Right on.
So this song is all about what happened in the bathroom. So I don't know if we've sung about that before. We've sung about ankles and all kinds of things, but this might be a first.
Shower scene?
Asylum shower scene. See, that's like the bathing court. That's like Asylum bathing court. I think that's more...
Bathing beauties?
Oh, please, no.
I'm sorry. I ruined it.
No, you didn't, because we have to laugh.
Yes,
you know?
we have to laugh.
We have to laugh. But my God, when that came on, did you not have that moment of just take it back?
Phantom has sunk to a new low.
Just take it back. And it's supposed to be like...
It's very catchy, though.
This is his show. Well, okay, this is another thought that I had just a few hours ago, which is just because it's catchy doesn't mean that it's good music. And I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying I
Right.
literally was having, like, again, as I was putting makeup on this, although I don't wear makeup, obviously, but if I did, and I was putting it on earlier, I was having this just
Yes, these
running.
tears are natural.
So I know, because we're fairies. It's just, we just
Exactly.
cry glitter. And I was thinking about when people actually, especially in modern pop, they're like, but I can't get it out of my head, so it must be pretty good. And I just thought, that's insane. Because you can't get something out of your head doesn't mean it has innate value. It just means you can't get it out of your head. Like, that's what, like, car insurance jingles are written so that they stick in your head. That's the point. And
Right.
a lot of music is written with that exact same
I
strategy.
feel like
behind it.
Bathing Beauties is supposed to be kind of a bad song because
That's
of
fair.
that kind of reason. You know, it
Yeah.
is his commercial hit, you know, of sorts. All right, we'll
You're
start
right.
landing
Yeah,
this plane. I know we're going pretty long, but tell me, and this could be kind of relate to this whole thing, but tell me if I got this information wrong, but Madonna is kind of like the first pop star for you.
I don't have any connection
Okay.
with Madonna. Did you read that somewhere? Because I'm fast. I have no problem
I
with that.
process
Like,
a lot of
no,
information, and maybe
you
I got the
could
wrong
do.
person, but
No,
was
but I
it like your
like it.
first album, one of your first albums or anything
No.
like that? Oh, okay.
That's
Was there a
intense.
pop star in your life, or
No, I was very, very, because I was truly grown up in this classical bubble, for really up until almost adulthood, I was not exposed even to the bands that I love now. Like, my favorite things are, well, obviously the Smiths, we know that, but Queen and David Bowie. I didn't know those growing up. I knew Jimi Hendrix. He was a massive, massive influence because that got me into electric violin. And that was like,
wait,
I was
what?
kind of
How?
able- how not? Like, I
Jimi
wanted to make
Hendrix?
that sound. Yes. I
Okay.
wanted it to sound like that. So I got an electric
That's
violin,
interesting.
got a distortion pedal, and that's where my not classicalness began, was essentially with Hendrix, and thinking that sound that he's making with that guitar is as beautiful to me as all of this music that I truly love and do still think is the best music.
Wow.
Like, to me, the best that humanity, you didn't ask this, but the best things that humanity has ever produced happened
What's the
before
best
there
thing
was.
humanity has ever produced? Hello?
I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking because I
As you
don't want
said,
to
I
mess
didn't
this up.
ask, but now I'm asking.
Oh no, what I was just going on a spiel about
Yeah.
the greatest things humanity has produced happened before electricity. So that the whole, I guess my point was, I had
No,
that
like,
aside of saying that classical music is and will always be my favorite because it didn't need anything but to be exactly what it was, and that's what we could do before all of this fancy stuff. This is all really fun. This is all very cool. But for me growing up, what really mattered was that music, and it still does. But when I heard Hendrix, I heard something that to me was as quality as all of this historical stuff that I was obsessed with. And I just thought, I want to make that sound too. I don't want to go through life and not make that sound. And that's when I got the electric violin, I think when I was 12, which is the one that I still have, and played on. It's the violin that I played on Unlaced. So, and on this song as well, for a big violin solo in the middle. And so I think that started my journey into the first taste of something that wasn't classical, that wasn't just violin. It wasn't singing yet, but it was my first, oh, this is different. I think I want some part of this in my life. And I think the violin can sound like this. I think so. And there wasn't really anyone at the time, but now, I mean, many people play electric violin, but at the time that was not a big thing. And it was fascinating to me. And through that, I started to, through my Hendrix obsession when I was 12, 13 years old, I learned about other music of that time, like Eric Clapton, Cream. Like, those are the things think I've ever talked about really loving at that early period of my life. But I never really, really listened to vocalists. I wasn't even very much exposed to pop music at the time, or rock. Like Jesus Christ Superstar was my rock music. That was
Right.
as like tough as it was
Well,
going to
that's
get.
Jesus as a pop star, kind of, right? So
I mean, I felt like it's kind of like when you
and it's
get
Easter
your
weekend, so get your Jesus Christ Superstar on.
Oh, good. See, I
Yeah.
forgot.
And
I
Alice
forgot.
Cooper was in it
But,
at one point.
you know, that makes perfect sense. How can you
Yeah.
not be?
Right.
So I wasn't the bands that I love now are bands that I actually found so far after the fact. And I think what you may be thinking of Annie Lennox, because she, when I started singing, I really liked her. I loved the androgyny, so I loved her visually. I love women with low voices. And when I started to sing, years before anyone ever heard me, when I started to sing, she was the role model in my head of anyone for, I don't really have a voice. It's not very good. Who can I try to copy so that I can learn more what
see that,
muscles this
yeah.
even takes? Because I did not sing at all growing up. That was a completely forbidden thing. And, you know, my voice was this violence. It was literally like, you do this. And the thought, even just to me personally, that I was so committed to being a violinist that the thought of singing with my own voice felt like a complete betrayal to myself, to my instrument, this piece of beautiful wood. And it took years to be able to get over that sense of guilt for opening my mouth. And then, as I've said before, once it opened,
Yeah.
you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So that
Sure.
there was nothing to be done about that. And then once the Asylum world opened up, it was like, oh God, now she's loud. And that's okay. That is what the
Yeah.
trajectory of this particular life journey is supposed to be. But I feel as though I missed out on a lot that I had the joy of discovering in my 20s. Is
Well,
like,
time is
oh
an
my God.
illusion. You can discover it anytime you want.
You can discover Freddie Mercury at any time,
Yes.
and he can still become your boyfriend.
Right. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find it. I will find a way.
Yeah. I trust in you.
Thank
I
you.
had just thought while you were talking. So I'm kind of a novice when it comes to classical music. I don't know much about it, but do you think maybe you could put out a playlist of your favorite classical pieces?
Absolutely. Well,
That would
with
be
you in
cool.
that setting, I mean, you are in the Paris Opera House, so let's start there.
I know,
And
yeah.
that's such a fun
Then
idea.
Phantom of the Opera, if someone made a book accurate movie, the soundtrack is already in the book. All those songs that they play they really exist, guys. You can just, yeah.
Will
that's
you,
interesting.
if you haven't already, will you put out a playlist of at least what is findable? What would your
I think
real
it's
life
out
Phantom
there.
playlist be?
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the book. Like even the first scene that, when they're at the gala and everything,
Yes.
it tells you what the orchestra is playing, and they're all real pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, that's anyways, side tangent. Okay, well, let's see if there's anything important that I missed here. So I got my whole page of notes, and I haven't really
Oh,
looked at
lovely.
it.
That's the fun. We call that asylum tree branching, as you know,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
wherever
I
we
figured.
start with, it's not going to be where we go, and we just have to be all right with that as a family.
Okay, well, maybe one more serious question, and then
Okay.
we'll land this plane. So back to
I love that we're on a plane all of a sudden. First we were in a boat.
yeah.
Now we're on a plane.
Maybe
We
we're
get
in
to
the boat.
fly
We're
right in
underneath. We're underneath the opera house in the boat.
I like
That's
that.
better.
We're gonna
There's
land this boat.
no planes in the opera house.
No. That's love really never dies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So I mean, I know sort of the story and everything is part, and your personal life is all part of the lore. So I don't know exactly how you want to talk about this, but I always love the idea, or to ask you, Opheliac, part of the lore of that album is that you kind of gave yourself a year to make it or something like that. And do you feel like desperation breeds good art in some respect, or how does that relate to you?
So the thing I think that you're referencing about the time that I gave myself to make it, it wasn't time bound. It wasn't a year.
Oh,
It
okay.
was I had leave it to me. I'm going to take us to a darker place.
Yeah, I
Let's get
started
ready
it.
for this. We're going to go there.
Yes,
So
yes. So have your
so
tea.
yes, I will go there with you because you
I appreciate
deserve
it.
it. And the fact of the creation of Opheliac was that I had not yet been in the asylum. I had not yet been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I had been diagnosed with extreme clinical depression, and that was all. But I was already experiencing the starts of what I now know was this is a psychic break that's happening. And I was in a powerfully suicidal space. And because I had this new music sort of bubbling, this new sonic landscape of
Right. Yeah, it's a total
this
recreation of
industrial
everything
palette
for you.
that, yes. And these sounds were in my head. I didn't really have a studio. I had a laptop. I didn't have really much of a way to start expressing these. But one night, thinking about the ways, the practical way in which I might leave this planet.
Mhm.
And I said to myself, just make this album. You know what the songs are. This is a collection of things. Just make that. I wasn't on a label or anything. This was just for me. I had no audience to speak of. It was just put down this music, put down these things that are in your head. And if you want to die by the time it's over, you can. And so I called that bluff and said, all right, let's do it. And I put
And you're
everything
still
in.
here.
I'm still here because sometimes you just need that moment to say. And what's funny is the asylum, the actual incarceration and the epic shattering drama that was that, and the things surrounding it, circumstances that contributed to that even happening in the first place, that happened after. That happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Opheliac was done. I was sitting on that for, I was 25 when I wrote and recorded it, and it all came together very quickly because when the magic happens, it does. When it is doing the thing, it's very fast. And I think I've spoken about the timeline before, and I always suspect it might be a bit of a surprise that Opheliac is not what happened when I came out of the asylum. The performances of that are what happened when I came out of the asylum. The person that sang those songs and has now like massive arthritis in her knees from performing like a lunatic every night and doing crazy acrobatics and slamming her body on the stage.
And you put on long shows too. Those were lengthy performances.
We finally put an intermission in, but I mean that's when we finally said, like, you guys know we're doing theater here. We're putting in an intermission. Go to the bathroom. It's fine. And that went really well. That was one of the best changes that we made over the years, is to just say, we're at a theater show. It doesn't matter if you're standing, doesn't matter if you're allowed to sing, but this is different. This is not a rock show. Let's stop pretending it is. It never really was. And you get a break. But the timeline of Opheliac was, there's the person that made that wrote those things, and then there's the person that went on stage and went blah. And that was a separation of about 2 years. So I'm in a psych ward writing the Asylum book in real time. and Opheliac is already there and is just sitting on a drive, and then is discovered and brought to Germany, and all of this happened because of that. But at the time, it was absolutely just a dare. How will you feel? Just get this out, and then you can do what you want. No questions asked. If you still want to leave this planet, that is the I that's talking to me completely respects that decision. That is the one shred of control I had in my life at that moment. And it was just a matter of get this out first and then do what you want. And what's funny is that life only got darker from there, but I was still here to fight it. And sometimes it's only when it gets that much darker that you discover the real reasons you have to claw onto this reality, such as it is. And that's where I feel that we're all living now. We are all here in our own lives, in our own individual ways, just clawing onto whatever this reality is and trying to find the most joy in it, despite everything, despite all of the things that tell you that we are in this loneliness epidemic, that we are in this mental health epidemic, all of these things that are very true. So what are you going to do about it? What will you dig your nails into, your black chip nail polish into, and say,
follow your passions?
I will experience joy now, today. I will not watch the news. I will not let any outside force dictate my peace and happiness in this life. I will not let Kevin, I will not let anything get in the way of the connection that you and I have and that we have with these plague rats who are giving us their beautiful, valuable, precious time tonight.
And you've given me your valuable, precious time, and I appreciate that.
Always.
All right, let's end it on this question. It's not as heavy, but are we ever going to see you back?
To make it suicidal. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Are we ever going to see you back up on stage?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In musical format and in probably many, many other formats.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. It has been a minute. And sometimes you have to know when to go underground in order for new work to be made.
So is this like the emergence? Is this the start of the reemergence?
I feel as though I had a realization regarding this film, which is I'm going to have a reemergence whether I like it or not through this piece of work. So let's double down on that and start sharing it today and start showing people what's really going on behind the scenes. I'm so extremely proud of the decision that I made some time ago to stop performing my life on social media and instead to build something that was small and intimate and precious, that could be a creative headquarters. The place where I now live online is the Asylum Inner Circle. And that is where the music is made in real time. That is where the behind the scenes of the film will be shown in real time. You will see the strings, you will see the magic happen, and you will see everything that I do from this point onwards come to life in here. And the best part of that, as you know, is that it's not just a spotlight for me. It's about what the community members, what the plague rats in there, the first founding 200 are creating. You know, these are people that I respect. These are people who show their work, who support each other, who are known by name. And none of that would have been possible without that decision to step away from the places that we are all told that we have to be living on and living with, when in reality, yet we all talk about it like we talk about smoking. Like, oh, I got to get off the stuff. Like, that can't be healthy if we all talk about it like that. So part of the inner circle community has been, is it possible to build an online space where people lead with kindness, where true friendships that extend outside of the online space are created, and where people work alongside me, not just as an audience. It's not a fan club. They are participants in the growth, and they are supported and celebrated, and we work alongside each other.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most precious thing that I've been able to experience in the recent past, and through which I get to actually show everything that I've been doing for the last 10 years, because particularly the last 5 or 6 years have been the time of the greatest, by sheer volume, creative output of my entire life.
Mm.
And the fact that, I mean, so far beyond the things that we've even mentioned here, there's so much more. And the fact that it's off of social media doesn't mean that it isn't happening. And that's something that I think a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, whatever we call ourselves, it all sounds pompous, are discovering is, whatever, you're in the damn opera house.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
look where you are, is discovering that just happening on social media doesn't make something real. And, as long as the music that someone made is still a part of your life, you're still connected to that person. And I love that many people, many people, are finally stepping away from this thing that was falsely put upon us as, this is the way you connect. Well, it's not. It's the way you are divided. And a divided populace is easier to control. And that's the only reason that it ever existed.
Incredible.
There's a better way, and right now this is what we're doing.
I think that's perfect way to sort of end this. Amazing. What was I gonna say? There was something else in there. I'll think about it. Well, thank you so much. This was an epic conversation, and
thank you.
Something I've always wanted to, have a more extended conversation with you. And
can we do this again?
Yeah, we could do this again.
Let's come talk to you anytime. And I think we should talk about Phantom for 4 hours.
Yeah,
and
we can do that.
So angry, and let's really annoy people. Do you want to just double down on this? Let's make it 8 hours.
I'm gonna bring my Phantom. I used to have a Phantom YouTube show, but it didn't quite pop off. So I did. There's only so much time to do things, so it kind of went to the wayside. But it's called Found a Phantom, and there's a whole closet. I'll post some pictures on the inner circle of my Phantom closet.
Please do.
Yeah.
Look, you have so much to contribute. Get your sweet buns in the inner circle and start sharing these pics, because I didn't know you had a Phantom closet. These are the things I need to know.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I need to talk to her about Phantom. I know she's a big fan.
We have just gotten started.
Yeah, we just brushed the surface on that one.
You know that I got to sit on the Phantom stage and pet the chandelier and lay under it. Did you ever see those pictures?
I
will post them in the inner circle.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yes, it was a glorious day. I was, as a gift, I was allowed to come to the theater just during the day, and the chandelier swooped down on the stage, and I the costumer actually at the show here was who's now my friend, was a longtime plague rat, and I had no idea, but we got in touch, and so through the plague rat, the precious plague rat of Phantom, the person behind the costumes, was able for one of my birthdays, although we don't have birthdays because there is no time when we're all the same age, to have me lay under the chandelier and I just put in the Asylum musical songs. I think I was listening to Gaslight, and I just sat with headphones in a hot pink dress on the stage, completely clear under the chandelier, and said, "This is my theater or something better." And that's what I would like. If I could leave a gift to everyone, is the phrase that I say all the time, and it's this or something better. So don't be afraid to dream as wildly as you possibly can, in the fear that that exact thing won't happen. So you shouldn't even put that out there, because it's that or something better. And knowing that Phantom left that theater, other things that aren't very good are in that theater, but it's that or something better. And wherever this show ends up is exactly where it's supposed to be.
Well, now it's in the art store.
That's true.
It's back. It is here. It is back.
It's here, but no live music, which I understand if they're all.
There's one violin player. That's it.
I know, but that's like token violin. You almost. I was once asked to do a part like that was like token violin that leads you through the show, and I just thought, it's cool, but I just can't. That's just not me.
It was one of the biggest heartbreaks about seeing the show. I mean, it's cool. It's very cool. Like, I'm glad it exists, but it's not the same thing. You are very inside the story. You're very, very, very close to the actors and the props and everything, but there's no staircase.
I mean, well, you have to come here to VonPod for a staircase.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I've stolen the staircase.
A permanent selling point.
Yes.
And I think if you want the real magic of Phantom, this is where you have to go, everybody.
That's right.
You know?
Stay tuned. There's more coming. And fun fact about Phantom of the Opera, just in general, I know the musical has all the candles and it's very romantic, but actually, if you're book accurate, he was using gas at the time, so it would have been gas lit, because he was a modern man. The Phantom was.
He was.
And he did have a budget,
Yes, he did. If we could all just send a note and have our bills paid, just mysteriously, that's another chat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, share, and subscribe, and help me fight the algorithm. So we could at least start that.
Can we? I've never said this before. Can we do it? Is this? This is the moment where we do like and subscribe. Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Do you want to do it together? I don't know. I'm really frightened all of a sudden. Could we do it together?
Yeah, let's do it. 3,
Would you count us
2,
down?
1. Like, share.
Subscribe. Oh, and share. There's a third one.
Oh, sorry. My whole mantra is like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Oh, comment below. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Like, share, subscribe, comment below.
3.
Okay. If you do that, then can I do the stripe stalking salute? Because now I feel like we're starting a whole thing. This just turned into PE. We're in gym class. Okay. Yours first. Let's go.
Like, share, subscribe,
comment below. And we're fighting the algorithm. Well, you know what? Let's fight the algorithm of life.
Yes. And you, as a reward, you all get to see this picture now. There's our other picture together.
Oh, look how gorgeous.
From the Birthday Massacre tour.
Look how gorgeous we are. Oh.
And I remember you liked my hair that night, and I was
absolutely.
I don't know why it's purple. I've never really had purple hair before, but I guess it was purple that night.
You're gorgeous. Oh, that stage.
Irving Plaza, yeah.
All that DIY. I know. I had been at Irving Plaza with Courtney Love years and years before that. And when I realized where I was playing, I was like, oh, I had a really weird memory here. How interesting. So yes, my next time back was my own show. Who knew?
Well, that's an interesting tidbit. Yeah, I wasn't going to go explore all that connection.
No need. That's actually the least interesting part of my whole life.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
It's really not very interesting, but it's just cautionary tales of like, you want to be like this, not like this. But what can I say? Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. Well, Billy had her on her show this last week. If you want to hear that conversation, so
Good.
yeah, not you, but my readers. Yeah, I'm sure you're not very interested in that.
No, there's just so much to do, and I
Yeah.
think, I think
Exactly.
I'll just hang out with the Playgrats in the inner circle. You'll be there posting your pictures of
Yes.
Phantom Closet.
My
So
Phantom Closet.
it really is the funnest. Good God.
There's so many toys and
Most
books
fun
and art
place.
and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff in there. DVDs. Actually,
Okay.
can I tell you about one of my favorite things?
tell me about
Hold on.
anything
Let
you
me go grab it. I'll have one more last show and tell, and maybe you can play some music in the meantime.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll be
All
right
right.
back.
Turn this back up. What have I done? All right. What do we have? All right. We were just talking about gaslights. Yes. This will be in the wrong key, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's just do it in this. Do you know what? I'm doing a mashup of that and Art of Suicide. It just naturally, Gaslight turned into, I was playing Gaslight and it by itself, I had no control over my hand. It started going. What's your treasure?
Spoons, yay. Okay. So in the book, they talk about burying these recordings for 100 years in the depths of the opera. It's kind of like a time capsule, and I think that's the part where they also talk about discovering the Phantom's body, or Gaston Leroux as a character talks about this, right?
Yes.
That was a real thing. And they dug them up 100 years later and they put them on CD, and there's pictures of the actual managers of the opera house that the characters are based on. You can hear them talking, and you can hear some of the actresses that were sort of inspirations for the story actually singing.
All right.
And
in
like one
the
of the coolest things ever.
In the circle, there's an inmate playlist section. You need to share this with us. That's
I don't know
stunning.
if I've ever listened to all of them. It's 3 CDs of recordings. They're not, they're super old, so they're not great recordings, but it's like, yes, the book, it's based on real things, and this is one of them.
Right. I would love to hear that and sample it and build something out of it and let the memory live again.
That would be awesome. Yeah. All right, let me promote myself for a moment here.
Yes,
Since we're at the end of the show, you guys come join the channel if you're new here. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I kind of ignored the chat. I was just so in our own world. But come back. We have some more episodes. This was episode 90, so there's very interesting conversations on this page. And even if you don't know the artists, I feel like they're all equally as valid and interesting. So go discover them, including my friend's 3 monkeys named Bob. We have to reschedule the show, but this is my hometown punk rock friends. They're playing their first show in 19 years on Saturday. If you're in Rockland County, it's at Olives. So that's going to be coming up. We got Trump card. Okay, we're going to get a little political on this show for this one. I always wondered, like, in this current climate, where are the dead Kennedys and the political parody punk rock spirit? And I found it. So we're going to talk to Trump card.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you know anything about Splashdown?
No.
Okay.
But I just see Anarchy Club, and I think I want to go to there.
Yeah, right? Yes. Circle those A's. Splashdown put out... Okay, they didn't put it out. the quick version of this story is this band Splashdown from Boston around 2000 got signed to Capitol Records, made one of the best records I think was ever made. And then before it came out, they got dropped and it never got officially released. And then they broke
I
up.
know many people just like that. I'm so sorry that happened to them. They broke up, you said?
Well, yeah, like 25 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for them. But it does exist. Like radio promos went out and everything. And then there was a merger and then a bunch of artists got let go. And it's a fascinating story to me. So I've had the singer on. I've had their manager, Cynthia Von Bueller, on as well, his ex-wife. It's, anyways, come back for this one. It's going to be great, May 7th.
No, that's pretty amazing. Yes.
If you're into the goth music, I got something for World Goth Day Eve, Tapping the Vein from Philadelphia. I guess they're coming back, and I want to talk to them about that. And then I have a whole Guar podcast if you're interested in that. Their old managers coming on. Ghoul, another conceptual they're thrash rock ghouls. It's whatever. Theatrical rock, that's kind of my thing, if you haven't noticed. Sarah Squirm from Saturday Night Live was on the show recently, so if you're into that kind of thing, go watch that on the channel. It was a wonderful conversation. And today was Emilie Autumn, and it's I've kind of wanted to have this kind of conversation for 20 years, so I'm so glad that we got to have it.
I'm truly honored.
Before we leave, I gotta just say, like, Opheliac, it's gotta be one of the. I don't know anything else like it, and that's why I love it so much. I mean, of course, things like that. I think it's theatrical. The music's good. That's part of it. Like, you can't just be theatrical. You have to have the music to back it up. And I think it exists as one of the greatest weirdo albums of all time. Really.
Thank you. I did not see that coming, and I'm so grateful. It's very difficult for me to take in nice things, and I will do my absolute best to absorb the kind words that you just spoke.
Well, you can absorb it in the after part.
I will. It's going to take me a moment to be like, whoa, that matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, we'll definitely do this again. We can just we hit on all the big important topics, so then we could just fuck around and talk about Phantom, and I'd love that.
I would love that so much.
All right.
Yes, please.
Well, if you want to stick around for a minute, I'm going to end the stream, but you guys, thank you everyone for being here. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Like, share, subscribe, comment below.